Live. Okay, we got it now. Shit. Okay. Welcome to the Ladies Locker Room. I'm Lucretia L.
Yeah.
Rogers. My sister is with me as always, Miss Angela T. Jones. What up, though?
What up, though?
All right. So, first things first, let me get this out of the way right now.
Right
Right now.
now.
We don't do bullies. We don't do bullies. We don't do trolls. We don't do none of that.
We don't
It's
do
we
nigradactyls
don't do
who have their
nigga.
opinions about what we should be doing.
Listen, we don't do any of
None of that.
that. Here are the rules. These are the rules, Vivian. If you like it, we love it. We love that you're here. Thank you for your support. Keep tuning in because
Smooches, we
I
love
mean,
you.
we're gonna continue to have topics that you may or may not like or agree with, but we're gonna do it anyway. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting all of that. For everybody else, for the people in the back, the folks in the cheap seats, the bleachers, the back of the line, the Karens, the Kens, all of that. Keep scrolling. Keep bye. Bye.
You don't like it, you ain't got to listen. And
You
we
don't,
ain't going to miss you at all.
we're not doing any of this to appease you. We don't have to have your narrative as our priority. We just don't do that.
None of that. Never
So
have.
it never have and ain't gone. We don't and we will not tolerate trolls and trolls.
We like that y'all hating so much that you felt like you needed to say something.
I mean,
But
the haters, if it's classified as a hater, that means you're a fan for real. So how about that?
I mean, but at the end of the day, your little opinion really means absolutely nothing because we were doing this before you even knew that we were doing this. So you're the one late to the party, okay? Because we
Yeah.
have been doing this for a good solid year and some change now, and we have not had any complaints, and we have had listeners, and we have had a growing following, and we doing it because we want to do it, not because we owe anybody any explanations. We don't have to have no goals. We ain't got to have no metrics. We don't need to have no statistics. We have both already been in fields and arenas where we already had that. Me personally, I don't care. I don't even notice when people listening and when they not. This is started off as something cathartic for me as part of my therapy, me hanging with my best friend, and that's the way that it's gonna be. If you don't like what we talk about, find something else to listen to. Because as far as I'm concerned, only a weirdo will listen to a podcast that they don't like.
I bet you the subject involved actually did listen before he went to answering all them questions. But
Well,
I
and I don't
digress.
care. I don't care.
None of that matters.
Worry about yourself. I'm sure you need to clean your room or get your teeth cleaned, you know, check up on your kids. And so us, you could be doing something else with your time other than sliding up on us on Instagram talking mess.
Here's the thing though, this was the thing that was it wasn't really shocking, but it was like, oh, okay, you one of them moments. Um,
But one of
even
who though?
you
Or
know
who are
what?
you really?
Taking a look at the page, okay, if they in fact did represent a podcast of some sort, another content creator, if you will, it was completely unrelated content to ours.
Exactly. We are
And
not your competition. Our competition is who we were yesterday.
yeah, and it's first of all, what you don't even relate. It was a dude that was a a male sex whatever
A
for
man
men.
called
Or,
himself a man called himself teaching men about sex.
okay, there
Something
it
he
is.
probably ain't having. Because if you was busy having sex, why is you worried about what we doing over here with our vaginas? Because we not having sex with you, sir.
Oh man,
Never would
that's
either.
that. Well, clearly, that's enough of that. That's as much as you're gonna get on this here platform. I said what
Listen,
I
because
said.
I'll drag you. I ain't scared of you, bro. Because your feelings mean nothing to me. You better ask about me. I've been doing radio and content for over 10 years. I ain't worried about none of y'all. Y'all better
crazy.
come get y'all boy. Y'all better let him know.
Not come get your boy.
Come get your boy. Tell him who he talking to. Tell him who Superwoman is. I could care less. I done had international content, boo boo. I don't care about you and your little feelings.
That's enough of that. We done with you. You can run along now.
Skedaddle.
Beat it. What's going on, sis?
I am pleased that the country of Mexico has decided to play ball with the FBI and has issued arrest warrants for at least one of the murderers of Shanquilla.
The rest of the dominoes are falling.
Yes, and they are all going to end up with some kind of charges. Everybody in that room. I don't care if it's an accessory to murder after the fact. Somebody going to end up with something, but I'm sure they are going after the girl she was in the altercation with first.
Yeah. But
then they're going to make the rest of them turn.
Everybody
yeah. Because you're an accessory to murder. And if nothing else, y'all don't want to spend the rest of y'all whole entire lives in a Mexican prison. Y'all going to want to at least get out before she will. And a sentence in Mexico, because what they're charging is femicide. And some people don't understand what femicide is because they're not used to hearing femicide. But we know what homicide is. It's the murder of a human being, right? Femicide is the murder specifically of a woman or female child. And the reason Mexico has femicide as a crime is because they have male-dominated gangs and cartels who throughout history have kidnapped and murdered women and children for leverage over men. And in order to curtail some of that, they have decided that instead of regular homicide, that femicide is more like a hate crime because you targeted this person because of their gender.
So it's going to carry more weight when the charges are actually dropped.
Not dropped because the charges won't be dropped. You mean when the charges are actually filed?
When they're actually filed against the offenders.
Right. Because they don't play about that because that was something that gangs and cartels would always use against men in Mexico as leverage. We're going to kill your wife, your daughter, your niece, etc., if you don't do what we tell you to do, right? And because they would be protective of the women, they would either choose to do what they were being coerced into doing or they wouldn't. And then the women would be targeted as a result. So they are saying that Shanquilla was targeted and murdered because she is a woman. And it doesn't matter that it was by another woman. That does not matter. That person is still a murderer as far as we are concerned. And if it's old girl and it's just old girl, I doubt it. I think that everybody on that trip is going to end up with some form of charges, even if it's just accessory after the fact, because y'all was there. It was on video. We still don't know exactly who released the video, but the video got released. And y'all thought it was going to be all fun and games. And then you tried to hide the fact that she was murdered. So there's a lot of charges, but I'm glad that the country decided to step up because initially they was co-signing and acting like, oh yeah, she just died from alcohol poisoning. And it's like, hold on. That ain't what happened. That's what they told you. That ain't what happened. And Mexico prisons are a little bit worse than American prisons. All prisons are bad.
That, though, should they not serve in Mexico instead of?
Well, that's what would happen. If Mexico decides that they are going to pursue this, and it sounds like they are going to be charged. They're going to be extradited back to Mexico. Okay? So remember, they flew their ass back here like nothing happened. And then one of them ran off to Connecticut or some shit. They going to get rounded up by the FBI and the policia and taken back to Mexico in handcuffs where they will stand trial and be incarcerated when that trial is over. And Mexico don't play. Like your defense attorney really who you gonna have defending you? They didn't really think none of this shit out. but even though I still feel there was a conspiracy to some degree that they intended to take her on that trip to do her harm, but they didn't really think it through because you thought that you was going to go to a country that has extradition laws and that you was just going to come on back like nothing happened. But they were looking at 40 to 60 years in Mexican prison. That's
That's a stretch.
40 is the minimum. This is
Yeah.
Mexico. This Mexico. Here in the United States, homicide, you might do 25, right? You might do 25.
Yeah,
In Mexico,
possibly
it
up for
started
parole
40.
after so long.
Right. In Mexico, it started 40, and good luck. That means when y'all do get out, y'all gonna be 60 years old
That's
to
wild.
start. If you get out then, but the max is like 60 years, so you might as well say life, because they would be 80. They in their 20s, they would be 80 if it was a 60-year stint.
They need every bit of it.
All of it, and I'm not opposed to a bit of it. Like whatever happens, happens. Y'all killed that girl for nothing because of jealousy, envy, stupidity, whatever. Y'all killed her and then tried to cover it up.
Greed, because they took, for what I saw, they took 10 bands out from her.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see that, girl?
And they stole the girl money?
Yeah, they stole the girl money. They paid for the remainder of the trip or whatever other activities before they decided to board the plane back. Yeah, it was like 10 bands, something like that.
See, dirty. They gonna
Yeah.
get whatever they get. They get whatever they get. The only person I feel right now that does not believe deserve to be sitting in prison is Brittany Griner. I think that is extensive. I believe that she is being used as leverage, that she is actually a war criminal, because Russia is trash and they are angry at the United States about everything.
As is everyone else, though. As is everyone else. First of all,
Right.
we just, one of the most hated countries in the world.
But Putin is a little different, though. Putin is really he's a what they call an authoritarian and a dictator and a tyrant, and he just likes killing people. He's former KGB, and he's getting older. They claim he might even be sick, and so he's trying to solidify his legacy as the tyrant that he is. And they knew that Brittany was playing ball over there all these years. She didn't just start going to Russia yesterday. You know what I'm saying? She's been playing for the Russian team for a long time. They knew that she had a vape. You know what I'm saying? This is not new. They just decided to tie her up because of all this, everything going on between Russia and Ukraine and the United States.
Well, I mean, I feel bad about the length of the sentence and the execution of the transfer that has happened since the sentence has taken place.
Yes.
It still makes me angry that we are not more cognizant of a people to, try to find out or discover what the laws are of the places that we visit.
She wasn't visiting. Let's start with that. She wasn't visiting.
Right.
She pretty much is an expat. She works over there. That's her job, to play basketball over there. And let's keep in mind, if the WNBA played their women players like the NBA played their men players, they wouldn't be playing ball overseas.
That's so true.
She went to work.
I disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. My problem is, especially as somebody that's experienced with traveling back and forth to the region, especially since that, is she not at fault
wasn't. They're trying to charge her like she was selling drugs. She had a personal vape.
Right.
This is overblown. This is just like here in the United States. You have one joint and they put you in jail for 40 years talking about you were the head of a cartel. It's the same excessiveness. You had a personal item. You weren't distributing. You weren't trafficking, none of that. But they're trying to treat her like she was.
Is it fair to
for
say
a personal vape?
Is it fair to say then that it should have just been excused and blew under the rug, especially because she's a constant, or there should have been some type of reprimand involved, just not as excessive?
If they weren't targeting her because she's a United States citizen, they would have act like they didn't see that shit and threw it in the trash, and she would have went to work. But because she is a U.S. citizen and they are trying to have leverage over the United States because they are at war with Ukraine, and the United States government is providing billions of dollars in support to Ukraine to buy weapons, etc. They are trying to use her as a political pawn.
I just
Because
really
she
wish
was
it just
going
all
to
wouldn't
work.
happen.
She was going to work. She was not trafficking. She was not, none of that. She's not distributing none of that. It was a personal vape. She did not have a pound of weed on her. She did not have a kilo of coke on her. It was a personal vape. They could have threw that in the trash. Instead, they want to put her in prison.
I agree with the fact that it is politically driven. I agree with the fact that the punishment does not fit the proposed crime. Personally, I'm not aware of what Russian rules are when it comes to going between airports to get from one locale to the other. I'm not fully aware of that. I can say that it's overdrawn in the sense of, you taking something small. It's kind of like finding like a half of a blunt in your car in the U.S. Are you going
Or
to jail
less.
for that or less? Are you going to jail for that? Are you going to be in prison per se for that? No. Especially with it being legal here. But I
In
think
some places, it's still
in
not legal
some places,
federally.
but I really wish it all had not have happened. And then on top of that, I do hope that whatever penal colony that they have transferred her to is going to be short lived.
It's not. They are going to keep Brittany as long as they possibly can. They
Yeah.
are going to use her as a political pawn, as leverage. They are going to start making demands about people that are imprisoned over here that are Russian, that they would like to see released. Okay.
Yeah.
Putin is going to prop her up, and he's going to say, well, if you want this or this or this from us, then we're going to need this, this, and this in return. And one of
Yeah.
those things that he's going to use is her. Like he has such a huge issue with anybody supporting people he deems as his enemies. And right now, Ukraine is his enemy. And we have given billions of dollars to Ukraine that we should have been using for ourselves, mind you. Okay. I
Right.
want them to win the war too. Because if Putin was to win, child, it would just be terrorism all over the place because he is not going to stop with Ukraine. He going to just spread all over. Okay, and take over as many countries as he possibly can through ways of all types of forms of war and terrorism. So I don't want Ukraine to lose the war. I just don't want to give them all our money to do it because we got plenty of shit over here we need to be handling, including reparations from our own people. However, at the end of the day, Putin is trash. And he is definitely doing everything around Brittany Griner is for political leverage. That's all it is. She has never done anything else. She has never had a record. She has never been arrested for anything else. So when you're doing this and you're like, it's like even just like at the timing of everything, she done flew back and forth to Russia plenty of times. Plenty of times. If this is the only time you ever caught a vape on her, you could have just threw it in the fucking trash.
Right.
She coming there to work for you. She coming there to entertain you. She's one of your top players on the team there for you.
I forget it was another person who mentioned that he thought that the extent of her sentence was based on the fact that she is queer.
Yes, because Putin is very homophobic.
Okay. So, that's one thing on top of the political drive behind things.
Yes, he wants to punish her because she is queer. And that's a personal vendetta. Because like I said, Putin is homophobic, but that's a personal vendetta. Because you have to remember, Putin owns everything. And when I say owns, I mean, he knows that his people ain't too fond of him, but he keeps them at such a distance that nobody can assassinate him. He still has people tasting his food for him because he's afraid of being poisoned. He knows people want to get rid of him. He has killed all his political opponents. Every time they have an election, whoever is running against Putin disappears. They vanish. They come up missing. They turn up dead. He kills journalists like it ain't nothing. He don't care.
Well,
He's been like that for years. That's why they can't ever elect nobody else, honey, because he kill them.
Well, hell, he's close enough to dying off. So I mean, you know.
But he's afraid of that, and I think he's trying to do any and everything he can to win this war against Ukraine, including taking Americans' lives any way he can see fit as leverage, because he may really be sick. He'll deny that he's sick, but you know, stuff like that don't just end up leaking out and is not some truth to it. Because
Right,
he's very, you know, he's very determined to keep things behind the Iron Curtain.
Well, hopefully, I'm trying not to think negatively about it, because in the end, I still hope that there's some type of whatever bargaining chip that they use. If they want their murderers back, send them back. Give them to them. If
They're
that's
not necessarily all murderers, though. Some of them are.
well, that's just as an example, though. You know, you got people
right.
that, you know, these firearms experts, or, you know, people that were some type of way important to, you know, the Russian culture and their economy and whatever else they deem as important.
Mm-hmm.
Give the people back that they want, so we can get that girl home to her family so she can recover. I'm sure her health is, you know, challenged at the very least, because who knows what they have her doing. Or who knows who's not feeding her because of, you know, whatever they've arrested her for outside of this small vape. So hopefully we'll get some resolution to that. I'm not very positive, but I want to speak positively about it, because you know, hopefully something can happen to the point where she's reunited with her family, especially with it being a holiday season. I don't think that it'll happen as expeditiously as we would all like. But somewhere down the line, hopefully before they drive her crazy over there, they'll be able to get her home.
They gonna play yo-yo games with her for a while, though. I don't
Yeah,
believe that
I could
Putin
see
is just
that for
going.
sure. I could
I
definitely
don't.
see
Yeah,
that.
I don't see Putin having a heart and just deciding, oh, let's send Brittany Griner home. No, I think he's gonna play yo-yo games for a while, and that is unfortunately she's going to be collateral damage because of it.
That's so sad. There is I came across this. I was doing some paperwork earlier, so I came across this article where it's titled "Be a Team Player." Boss calls employee replaceable and demands they come in on their day off, and then they backpedal when the employee quits. So take a listen to this. So the first text went out. It says, "Hey Dan, it's Miguel. Called in, so I'm going to need you to cover his shift." Miguel is the person that called out. So the response was, "No, thank you. It is my day off and I'm hunting. See you on Friday." The response was, "I wasn't asking you. See you at 3. The further response was, or the additional response is, "I don't think you understand. I work 6 days a week for you and have gotten my time off approved months ago. I am not coming in." The boss's response was, "1 day off is plenty of time. I work 7 days a week. I will deny your time off and see you at 3. He says, "You can't do that." The response is, "Watch me. We will have a chat about your unprofessional behavior when I see you today. If you don't come in, then I will take that time out of your paycheck. You are replaceable. See you at 3. The response then was, "I quit. Since I'm
Mm.
so replaceable, I'm guessing you should have no trouble finding someone to cover for me. Mail me my check. The response then was, Dan, let's talk about this. When you come in, don't rush to quit just because you are upset. You need to be a team player. Be grateful that you don't work like I do and that I allow you to see your family once a week. We are only as strong as our weakest link. So, my. I'm gonna let you have it first because I got some thoughts.
Dan is the gentleman that took his day off. That was his name, Dan.
Yep, Dan was the
Okay.
name.
Okay. So Dan, I commend you because fuck that job. Listen, let me tell you something. I am on Dan's side. Fuck that job. How dare you contact me on my day off to start? That's all you already out of pocket. Okay. And I am a big proponent of people using their PTO, using their FMLA, using their mental health time, whatever your sick time, whatever the hell you got. I am all for people using that time because I have personally had to say, fuck that job before. Okay. Because
Same.
what you're not gonna do is try to guilt me into continuing to support your capitalistic nature because you feel like that's should be my only life goal. No, I'm a human being. I'm not a robot. If you want somebody that's going to be 100% efficient and there 24/7, 365, build you a robot and leave me the fuck alone. I'll find me another job. Dan, you are the man. Way to stand
Yeah.
up to the trash ass boss because they was out of line. First of all, you are never, ever, ever supposed to contact somebody on their day off because in order
That's
for that person
fine.
to take their time off, they had to put in time off request and you approved it. Now you want to try to renege? Where they do that at?
Yeah, do
Y'all
the
must have went to the business school of Elon Musk or some bullshit because that ain't how it go in the real world. We not doing none of that. None of that. That is completely not gonna happen. Okay? No, no, no. You don't contact me on my day off. That's first. That's where you fucked up. I don't care if I work 6, 7, 8, 10 days a week. I don't give a damn. You don't when I take that day off, that's my goddamn day off. And I'm not logging on to nothing. I'm not checking no emails. I'm not answering no calls. I'm not here. I'm not
Don't worry.
here. I'm not at work. I took time off. I'm not at work. Do not contact me. Point blank, period. Then you had the audacity to make threats. They made threats. Be
Listen, you
here
can't
at three
even
o'clock. Who the
backpedal.
fuck you talking to?
You can't even backpedal gracefully though, because for me it was the point where you told him after all of the back and forth that I allow you
I
one day
allowed
a
you.
week
Who
to
is you
spend
talking to? I am a
with
full grown damn adult paying bills with the job that I work for you. And apparently, you lying when you say I'm not essential, claiming that I'm replaceable. If I'm so fucking replaceable, why you contacting me on my day off?
if
You
I'm
should be
replaceable.
able to do the work then, right?
If
If
I'm
I'm
replaceable, why
replaceable,
are you going back and forth with me?
why you contact me in the first place? If I'm replaceable, you could have had somebody else doing the work while I was on my day off, right? Clearly, I'm not that good at this job, or you would, because you said I'm replaceable. You tell me I'm replaceable, I'm gonna tell you to replace my foot off your ass. Because what?
I
You
feel what
sit up here
you're saying.
begging me, and you threatening me to come into a job that you are telling me you can find somebody else to do.
I
The
feel what he
fuck?
said though. Mail me my check.
Mail me my check. You can go to hell. Mail me my check. And then guess what? I can sue you now because you texted me this or emailed me this.
Absolutely.
We gonna be in court. Good luck.
Not good luck. What the hell?
Good luck. Cause shit, you said it.
Good luck
That's all
on
you
your way
gotta
to hell. Oh, what?
listen. But yeah, good luck on your way to hell while I'm cashing the check that's even bigger than my last check because you sat up here and you contacted me on my day off. Strike one. You threatened me. Strike two. You said I was replaceable, but then want to beg me. Strike three.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing none of this. I will see your ass in court before I come up in this bitch again. Mail me
But
my
that's,
check.
you know what? That's one of the reasons. See, people are, what do they call it nowadays? It's recent too. They just kind of dubbed it this, that quiet quitting that people are doing.
Yes. People just
That
be like,
they
I'm not coming.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not coming.
or they'll be on a job where they've been mistreated for so long and taken so much shit that they'll show up to a job, punch in, sit down, or report to their station, and not really do too much of nothing because I don't care.
And not only that, I'm not mad at the quiet quitting because by law, you don't have to give no notice. Because if they was gonna fire you, they don't give you no notice. And if you live in an at-will state, it goes both ways. Quitting and giving a 2 weeks notice is a courtesy, not a requirement. Okay. And if you are being mistreated where you are, you ain't got to give nobody nothing. You can just gather your belongings and march the fuck out. You are not
Right.
required to give no 2 weeks notice. You're not required. You ain't even got to tell them you quit as you leave. You can let
And
them figure that shit out on their own
look though,
when you
and you
don't come
still owe
back.
me my last check. You still owe me my
You still
last check. Well, you
got
better
and
because
whatever vacation time I got left over. Give me all mines, okay? There is no, and I think that's the thing. And before this pandemic happened, I think this is one of the positive things that came out the pandemic. Because before the pandemic occurred, people felt obligated to their employers, right? And employers took advantage of people. I know from firsthand experience that there are employers out here that will take advantage of people, take advantage of people's work ethic, take advantage of people's need to take care of their family and their loyalty to their family. There are employers that will take advantage of people having the desire to do better in life. And there was this shift in the pandemic where people was like, fuck that job. I can get another one because you can. And this whole idea that came about because you got people who were working in minimum wage positions and they were finally getting opportunities to no longer have to do that again, whether it was because they were retiring or because they were finding other opportunities that paid better. And then you had people that went from working in the office all the time to working remotely. And they decided they want to continue to do that for work-life balance. And I love it all. I love that for all of us. I love it for all of us because a lot of these CEOs are multimillionaires who don't actually do shit but boss people around. And even
right.
small business owners can be trash. There are small business owners that they put out this idea that I can only pay you minimum wage because if I pay you more than minimum wage, I won't make a profit. And if I don't make a profit, I can't feed my family. So I have to keep you under my thumb and under my foot and keep you poor while you help make me richer. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Because if you were a decent human being and you sitting up here wearing your Birkins and your Louboutins and driving your Lexuses and shit, you would want the people that work for you that help you afford those things to be able to feed their families without working two jobs like the one you're offering now. Because that's what it comes down to. Capitalism needs to die. It is a foundation of oppression. It needs to die. And the people who can make that happen are us, those who have jobs and go to work every day. And you can stand up for yourself and stand up for your fellow men because these companies, small businesses, all the way to the big grand Amazons, are doing any and everything they can to keep their profit margins high and keep your bank accounts low. Unionize. See, people had this thing where, unions don't do nothing. Unions are only as strong as their membership. But unions are responsible for us having paid time off and vacation pay and sick pay and FMLA. Unions are responsible for us having access to credit unions and bank accounts. Unions are responsible for us having discounts on automobiles and having health care, et cetera, in the workplace. Those things all came about because of unions existing in this country. And union busting has always existed because people who want to make a lot of money but keep people poor in the process don't want you to organize. They don't want you to know you have rights. They don't want you to be a human being. They want you to be a fucking robot and help make them wealthy while they treat you like trash. And at the end of the day, so many businesses could just go out of business because we really don't actually need them. And the only reason they exist is because of the hard-working people that go to those jobs every day. So if you are in a position where somebody is mistreating you, look for another job. You ain't got to tell them. The fuck? I done left so many jobs, I ain't saying shit. Hey, what you about to do? I mean, you quitting, where you going? None of your business. I have even quit jobs and didn't have another fucking job already lined up because I was just tired.
I did that. As a matter of fact, I quit a job so famously that I left, came back from vacation, and gave them 2 days notice, not 2 weeks, and that was generous. And told them, you told them you have exactly 48 hours to gather someone that you may want me to train on this position, and after that, I am done. And as of close of business on Friday, and literally left.
Yeah, I had a job. I had been sick. I was in my 20s. I was recently divorced. I had lost my children. I was sick. I was dying. Okay. And it was hard for me to get out of bed. And I was still going to work. And I was 5 minutes late one time. I had been at this job for like 3-4 years. Had never been late.
5 minutes late on one occasion?
5 minutes late on one occasion, and they want to call a fucking meeting.
What did they say in the meeting?
You want to call a fucking meeting? Because I was 5 minutes late one time, and it took me about 20 minutes to drive to that job one way. So I've been coming to this job like 3-4 years. I have suffered a miscarriage while I was at this job. My divorce ended while I was at this job. I have a medical condition while I'm at this job. And the one time I'm late by 5 minutes, y'all want to call a fucking meeting and talk to me about my tardiness.
Tardiness that wasn't ever happening?
Girl, when I tell you, now there was these was white folks. There was this one man. He was a new VP at the company. He was in the meeting. He was just as shocked as I was because he was. Are y'all serious? Like he was like, wait a minute. She come in here. She do her job. This is her stats. Like this is her performance. Like he knew my work performance, even though he hadn't been there as long as the other people in the meeting. Okay. But the time he had been there, he knew my work performance. I was training other people and wasn't even no supervisor, all kinds of stuff, child. He was just as shocked as I was. And he said, Ms. Jones, aren't you currently dealing with a chronic illness? I said, yes, I am. And he said to them, did y'all know this? Because I know this. How do you not know this? And he spoke directly to the person who was my supervisor at the time. Did you know Ms. Jones is currently dealing with a chronic illness? She's like, yes.
Oh, wow.
He's like, so you know that she's dealing with a chronic illness, and yet she gets up and still comes into this job sick. And you're concerned about her tardiness because she was late by 5 minutes one time.
Yikes.
When I tell you, I left that meeting and he was so apologetic. He's like, I don't know what's gotten into these crazy white people. But I was like, you know what? Fuck that job.
Did you leave immediately or what happened?
This is what happened. There was something in me at this point that I was just like, this is about to be the first job I ever quit without having another job.
Oh man.
Because I mean, prior to that, anytime I had left a job, I already literally had another job lined up, and I was gonna be on payroll on Monday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm about to leave this motherfucker without no other job. And I kind of don't care. And I said to my supervisor, I said, I have really worked really hard for y'all. I am very upset and offended by how y'all are talking to me right now. And the reality is that if I drop dead at my desk when I left out of this room, all y'all gonna do is wheel me aside and put somebody else at my desk. So I'm gonna help y'all out. And I left and I never went back. They figured that shit out.
Of course, and they
I didn't even
do,
say
and they
they figured
will.
that shit out. I left. Because that's what
Yeah.
you would do. You would put somebody else at that desk the minute I was gone anyway. So bye.
You know what? That's one thing I want to piggyback off of and touch on is what you just said. Regardless of what happens with your family, with your health, with any other thing that directly impacts your life, what happens with people and with these employers is that they don't care.
No.
They don't care nothing about none of that. And at the end of the day, if you, like you said, if you drop dead today, if someone else that you know, a whole close drops dead, if you get
Mm-hmm.
into a car wreck, anything that can affect you being able to be at a job for any reason, like real reasons, though,
Right.
people, and that's very true. What the man said to Dan, they we are often considered replaceable, but lots of times we don't, for whatever reason, fear the unknown, whatever, we don't look at these jobs as replaceable when they are. And it doesn't
Exactly.
really matter about, COVID or monkeypox that mysteriously disappeared for whatever reason. Whatever. They people will replace you, but they need to know that they can be replaced as well.
And that's the thing. And I was young. I was raised by people who retired from their jobs. Well, my grandfather, he passed away. But he had been at his job for a number of years and he was reaching retirement age. My grandmother had retired. They got pensions. You know what I'm saying? So I was raised by the generation that stayed at jobs until they retired. And at the time, I want to say that might have been my third job, like third full time, I'm grown, paying my own bills, I own the house, I own the car type job.
Mm.
And I was in my 20s still. But having a medical condition and being so sick, like I was sick every day, all day. It was just the most horrible experience. I would never even wish it on my worst enemy. And being under the care of a physician and trying to figure out how to either live with this or reverse this illness at the time, and not having any type of empathy from the people that I go to work for was like, it did something. It did something. It really pissed me off. And it did something inside of me that was like, you know what? I would rather not.
Right.
I refuse. I would rather die. And for me, that was a very empowering moment because here's the thing, the wonderful thing. I left that job, told him, fuck that job. And I was able to live off of stock dividends for a year.
The importance of investing.
Okay. I was good. At the time, I was in a relationship. Dude paid my car note. And that was my only major bill at that time.
Mm.
And after, I think it was about a year or two later, was it a year or so? It was over a year. I know for a fact that it was a minimum of a year that I was off work. But during that time, I was able to help speed my recovery and improve my health. I lost weight. my medical condition reversed. And then I was able to get a better paying job at a Fortune 500 company, making more money than I had been making there. And I was in a union.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even with that job, I was there for 10 years. But for me, it's like if I'm not happy and if I don't feel appreciated, fuck that job. Because one thing I've been fortunate and blessed to know in my lifetime is God has always made it possible for me to pay these bills. Okay.
Right.
I ain't never, even when I was most worried, I ain't never been homeless. Okay. Even when I was most worried, I ain't never got a shut off notice from DTE. You know what I mean? So I've always been fortunate and blessed that those decisions were always better for me because maybe I'm not working right now, but I got peace of mind. My health is improved, or whatever the case may be. I needed to be away from that job in order for those things to occur because sometimes it's the stress of the job that's fucking with you too.
Right. Absolutely.
And until you get away from that stress, nothing else will improve. So I
Man,
don't even like I got a job right now. I make good ass money. But if they decided they didn't want to see my black ass no more tomorrow, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right because I've always been all right. I might cry for a minute because I actually like what I do.
yeah.
I
Right.
like my
Right. I've been
coworkers, you know what I'm saying? I like this job. But life does go on and other opportunities do present themselves. There was a time in my life where I had applied for over 500 damn jobs.
not 500. Is this 500 like between jobs, like as you were looking, or
No, I was unemployed
okay?
and applying for jobs. I had got laid off and I still was paying my bills. I mean, and it was very, I would say, saddening and even depressing. Like, I know I could do these fucking jobs. Why y'all not hiring me? Do you know I've been at the job I'm at for almost what? Has it been 3 years?
Has it been that long?
This is 2022, right?
Yeah. 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 Right. That listen,
The pandemic throws shit off. You're like, what year is this?
listen, don't start me on my confusion trait here. Listen, I
Like,
really don't know what's
it's
happening, but yeah,
2022.
yeah.
Okay, so like 3 years. So I've been at this job for 3 years. Do you know that companies that I was applying for when I was unemployed long before the pandemic happened are now reaching out to me, asking me if I'm still looking for work?
Just now, y'all late as hell.
Look, I got a whole nother. But you understand what I'm saying? The jobs exist. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I applied for 500 jobs between 2017 and 2019. I did
Jesus.
work part time during that time, but not full time, but part time.
Okay.
500 jobs. 500. 500. Out of that 500, I had 3 job interviews.
Sheesh. That's a lot.
Okay. When I got to 505, the 505th job is the job I have now.
Let me
Okay.
quit playing and play that in the 3 digit because I wish I would. I wish I would miss it. Let me catch that tomorrow in the 3 digit real quick.
But it's one of those things where everything happens for a reason.
It
Even the
does.
shit we don't like or don't understand. I am a huge proponent of that. I literally live my life by it. I have had things occur in my life that I'm like, why? And then later on, it's like, oh, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens for a reason. And that experience, and then to see how I'm literally getting emails from companies, I'm like, who are you? You're like,
When did I apply
when
here?
did I apply for this? Where I know you from? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh, I did apply for that job. Like, well, no, I'm good now. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's somebody else who could benefit from it. I'm in a position where I can say no, thank you. You know,
Right.
and I feel good about that. And at the same time, is part of the reason why I support people quitting that fucking job.
Yes, Lord.
Do
Yes,
not
Lord.
let people mistreat you. Do not let people take advantage of you. Do not let people use your fear of not being able to provide for your family against you, because you will be able to provide. You will. Because there's a resilience and tenacity that exists in people who are able to quit a job, honey.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand? There's something within us. We know how to survive. We know how to shift. We know how to adjust to change.
And if
A
you
lot
quit,
of
you
people
know how
do.
to move and shake a little bit. You know how to,
Baby, if you
roll the
are,
dice and get down low with your knees and roll the dice and be like, yo, let's get it. Give me them.
oh, not just black. Let's
Yeah,
get more specific. If you are a descendant of a slave, honey,
yeah,
you gonna figure this out
absolutely so.
because
No
you have
doubt.
already had every obstacle against you implanted in your DNA, and you are here.
Yep. Coupled
You
with the
are
fact that
here,
you were able to witness some of your ancestors get out here and grind it out and make it no matter what.
no matter what. People who have actually come from being taken from a place and transplanted to a place they did not know the language, did not know the ground, did not know where they were, who they were anymore. We gonna be all right.
Oh yeah, that's no doubt.
We're gonna be all right always. And I think that the younger generation is also learning that they can quit that fucking job too, and there's nothing wrong with it. And we have to stop shaming people for changing jobs and changing careers, because you can do that up until your last breath if that's what you want to do.
You know
Because
what,
to me,
your nephew said something the other day regarding that. He's in a place where he's unhappy with his job. And
mhm,
he specifically said, he said, look, I'm too young to be going through anything with a job that's not serving me.
exactly,
Jacob is
you shouldn't go through
19. He's
nothing.
19 years old and realizes that. So that's to your point that, the younger generation is realizing they don't have to be stuck.
No, and the thing is, we have, again, part of capitalism is that you are supposed to get a job and stay there until you retire or die. And the reality is that a life well lived consists of varied experiences. And those experiences can be different jobs.
I really like that. This the idea of a life well lived without embarking or embracing a slave mentality.
Some of the most interesting people I've been blessed to meet in my life have had some of the most interesting unrelated jobs.
Hmm.
Like, you used to do what?
Oh man, what? I get that a lot. I get that a lot. A
You
lot.
used to do what?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
real? What made you want to try that?
Yeah.
They have the most interesting lives, and they are some of the most amazing people. Have you ever sat and talked to an elderly person that had a different job every 5 or 6 years of their lives when they were younger?
I
They are
have.
so interesting, and it's so adventurous to just listen to them talk and tell you about the jobs they had and the places that they've been and the people that they've met as a result. Everything from maybe they were a waiter or a cook to they decided that they wanted to trek across Mount Everest and some shit for no reason. They
Yeah.
you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Then they went and studied abroad, and you know,
They do
they
have
had different life experiences and as a result different jobs.
a very interesting outtake on life in general and what it takes to make decisions that will keep you at or keep you from a job. So
Mhm.
I thought that was always interesting.
Because
But
a person with a lot of resilience and tenacity, they they can find ways to make money. Because if money is the issue, I don't think anybody should be at a job just for the money. If you're there just for the money, stay long enough to get your shit vested, whether it's your 401k, IRA,
yes,
or pension or whatever. Stay there long enough to get vested if your whole goal is money. Okay. But if you want to enjoy what you do, be flexible. Be willing to experience something different. Be willing to try something different. And be willing to say, fuck that job.
Well, trying something different leads me to what I want to end with because it was kind of funny, but not really at the same time.
Hmm.
But it was a true story. This is actually happening. This is actual litigation.
Mm.
So, a young lady, well, let me not call it that. This call it what the title says. A Florida woman is suing Velveeta for $5 million. You want to know why?
When you said Florida, I already started to scrunch my face up.
Suing Velveeta for $5 million
Because
because
what?
she's claiming her instant macaroni didn't cook fast enough. Pick your lip up, sis. I seen it without seeing it, right? So literally, she stating that the Velveeta's advertised 3.5 minute prep time is a lie. It took her, according to her, it took her multiple steps to cook, and the product cost too much money. So she filed
What?
a class action lawsuit against Kraft Heinz for that very issue.
Just say you don't know how to boil water. Because what the fuck? What possibly could the instructions have been other than boil water?
Well, here's the kicker. It's in an instant cup. If this is true, according to what I'm looking at,
Are you
it's
talking about the little cup of macaroni that goes in the microwave?
yeah, that.
Say you don't know how to use a microwave oven without saying you don't know how to use a microwave oven. That is user error.
She's suing their ass. She want her money. I want
And how much did it cost? Because them things can't be no more than $3.
What is like $2.49 or something? Oh wait, this says let's see. 2.39 ounce cups, like $10.99 for 8. So right around 2.49 a cup of instant
So
macaroni.
for $2, for approximately $2.49, she doesn't know how to use a microwave. So she's blaming Velveeta for that.
She said she want $5 million.
She won't five. These people.
A properly titled show, Be For Real.
I'm gonna need the aliens to come and rescue me from this bullshit.
Y'all taking long enough. I've been waiting. I already got my backpack. Let's go.
Because that's that bullshit. You don't know how to read directions and use a microwave, so you want to sue somebody for $5 million.
Yeah.
And you got the audacity to say it's a class action lawsuit?
That's what she filed.
Ma'am, we can read and use a microwave. This sounds like a personal problem.
Well,
that sounds like a real personal problem. That sounds like the educational system in Florida is flawed, as we already know, because every time the headlines say Florida, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be some fuckery involved.
Right.
Y'all need to talk to Ron DeSantis about that. You know, he the ones don't want y'all to learn nothing in y'all school system. That ain't got nothing to do with Kraft, Heinz, Velveeta, none of them. If you don't get to learn how to use a microwave, that's not their fault. It is a $2.50. $2.50.
Yeah.
And it probably says add water.
Well, not only did she want $5 million, she wanted her macaroni and cheese right there. Hell.
Okay, but you have to put it in the microwave unless you want it raw. And 3 minutes is not a long time to wait if you actually know how to read the directions and use a microwave.
Well,
almost every TV dinner, requires 3 to 5 minutes.
So she mad because whatever time that they advertised, it was the additional steps that were involved. The additional steps are not listed, by the way.
So the additional steps may be remove lid, stir.
Right.
Fuck?
Yeah. Maybe put the lid back down and let it cook a little bit before it's, ready, prepared.
I mean, I only thing I'm confused about is her being confused. That's the only thing I'm confused about. Like, why are you so confused by this? Like, it's macaroni and cheese in a cup that's microwavable. I can imagine that you don't cook macaroni and cheese at your house ever if you can't do this.
Oh, nah, they used
Because
to
first of all, Florida, I know your ass ain't actually, cooking real macaroni and cheese if you eating Velveeta microwavable mac and cheese in the first place.
Oh yeah, they
She
pop
would
that.
lose her mind with a box of bow ties, child.
Listen. Now we lose our man. We didn't overcook the noodles and suing them too.
Baby,
So
I just ate the last of my turkey day mac and cheese, and that shit was fire. Okay. She would have lost her mind with all the steps that I had to do because I had to get this Gouda. Okay. Because I like a little Gouda in my mac and cheese. Okay. I like
I
a
mean,
little Gouda.
for us, the mac is the most one of the most expensive pieces of a combined meal, especially like you said.
I don't know if it's expensive. I just
The
like
cheese
Gouda.
is always expensive. The cheese is
Oh
always
yeah,
going to be expensive. So
yeah. Because I had to have the mozzarella, the Gouda, the cheddar, and what's the Colby Jack.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta have I don't use regular milk, but coconut milk goes with everything as long as it's the unsweetened coconut milk. You can use it completely as a replacement for milk. So then you gotta get your eggs, beat your eggs down real good, mix them with your milk, beat all that together, pour it all in there, and then you got your cheese and it's just like popping. Then I use a little pesto. That's my little secret. I'm letting the
Okay.
secret out. Little pesto. Now, mind you, you're gonna freak out because if a good pesto like Barilla, they make a good jarred pesto where it's already mixed up. You don't have to worry about getting it exactly right because it's already exactly right. Now, the pesto, a lot of people would be like, ew, because it's green. But
It's
it ain't
green.
green once you mix it in with that pasta and that cheese. It ain't gonna be
Right.
green no more. It is like heaven on earth. And
It
then
was good though.
we ain't gonna talk about my lobster mac and cheese. Oh, yeah,
Is that
that's the
is
expensive
that
shit
coming
right
for
there.
Christmas or not?
I think that's gonna be on the menu for Christmas, but that's the expensive one. That's the one I put all the bread in. Cause like that meal right there is $50
Right.
just for the mac and cheese.
Oh wait, I can't wait. I need my my teaspoon of everything. Like
Yeah, cause the lobster mac and cheese, like the lobster be like $30. The
yeah.
cheeses they start at $7. Yeah. That's the and I put the pesto in that too.
Okay. Well, there we have it. I'm gonna be looking for that lobster mac and cheese. Flat out. I said it here first. This has been another episode of the Ladies Locker Room. You can follow us on Instagram at Ladies Locker _room and on Facebook at LLR Podcast. I am Lucretia L. Rogers. This is Miss Angela T. Jones.
Wait.
Wait, what happened? Wait, stop. Wait. Pause.
Thank you to DJ Tony Neal.
Oh, wait, I do have to. Actually, we got a few thank yous real quick. So that's number one, DJ Tony Neal out of Miami. Thank you for plugging us as one of, the dopest new podcasts out here. We appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Out on our social platforms as well. Crystal Allen gave us a shout out today as well as part of her preferred vendors list that she's sharing with our Chicago family. So thank you, Crystal. We love you so much. We appreciate
you, Crystal.
And for everybody else that is tuning in, we stated at the beginning of the show, thank you so much for your support. We certainly appreciate you. For all the trolls, I still said what I said. Keep it moving. You ain't got to listen. Because we ain't paying attention no way. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time. It's Ladies Locker Room.
Smooches.